What would you do if you wanted to leave a message that would last for thousands of years? In our digital age, where messages disappear with a click, this might seem like an impossible challenge. Yet, our ancestors found an extraordinary way to accomplish this feat. They turned to the enduring walls of caves, creating an eternal gallery of human expression that continues to captivate us today. These ancient artists didn't just leave mere drawings. They created windows into the dawn of human consciousness, telling stories that echo through millennia. Picture yourself standing at the entrance of a deep, mysterious cave, somewhere in what is now southern France or northern Spain. The darkness ahead seems impenetrable, broken only by the flickering light of your torch. As you venture deeper into this underground sanctuary, the dancing flames reveal something extraordinary on the walls. A masterpiece created by hands that worked here more than 40,000 years ago. In the wavering torchlight, herds of bison seem to move across the rock surface, their forms masterfully adapted to every curve and crevice of the stone. Watch as an ancient artist raises their hand, holding a hollow bone filled with natural pigments, ochres, charcoal, and hematite. With precise movements refined through generations of practice, they blow the pigment against the cave wall, creating a perfect outline of their hand, a signature that will outlast countless civilizations. This isn't just art, it's a message sent through time, a testament to humanity's eternal desire to leave their mark on the world. These cave paintings represent far more than simple decorations. They hold secrets about our ancestors' lives, their beliefs, and their understanding of the world around them. Some chambers deep within these caves show evidence of ceremonies and rituals, suggesting these weren't just art galleries, but perhaps humanity's first temples. The location of many paintings, often in nearly inaccessible chambers deep underground, tells us these weren't casual doodles, but carefully planned and deeply meaningful creations. The story of cave art is the story of human creativity, spirituality, and resilience. It's a testament to our species' unique ability to imagine, to create, and to communicate across the boundaries of time itself. As we explore these ancient galleries, we're not just looking at paintings. We're reading messages from our ancestors, understanding their fears, their dreams, and their way of seeing the world. Before we embark on this fascinating journey through the origins of human art, you're invited to join our community of history enthusiasts. Subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind channel, where we uncover more incredible stories about our ancestors and the remarkable legacy they left behind. Like this video to help share these ancient stories with others who share our passion for understanding where we came from. Together, let's explore the mysterious world of our prehistoric ancestors and the timeless art they created. The story of cave art begins approximately 40,000 years ago, during a period known as the Upper Paleolithic. This was a revolutionary moment in human history, marking not just the birth of art, but a fundamental shift in how our species interacted with and interpreted the world around them. This wasn't just the beginning of art, it was the dawn of symbolic thinking and complex human culture. The Upper Paleolithic period was a time of tremendous change and innovation. Our ancestors, the anatomically modern humans, were spreading across the globe, developing sophisticated tools, and most importantly, creating increasingly complex social structures. It was during this dynamic period that they began to leave their marks on cave walls, creating what would become the world's most enduring art gallery. Think of these cave paintings as humanity's first social media platform, a Paleolithic equivalent of today's Instagram or Facebook. Just as we now share our daily lives, achievements, and beliefs through digital images, our ancestors used cave walls as their canvas to document their experiences. They recorded successful hunts, celebrated important animals, depicted spiritual ceremonies, and possibly even shared their dreams and visions. These weren't just random marks on walls. They were carefully crafted messages meant to be seen and understood by others, perhaps even by future generations. The emergence of cave art coincided with what scholars call the Great Leap Forward, or the creative explosion. This was a period when human culture suddenly became more sophisticated, with advances in tool-making, hunting techniques, and social organization. The ability to create representative art, to take something from the three-dimensional world and recreate it in 2 dimensions on a cave wall, represented a massive cognitive breakthrough. It showed that our ancestors could think abstractly, plan ahead, and communicate complex ideas through symbols. These ancient artists worked in some of Europe's most famous caves, such as Lascaux in France and Altamira in Spain. But similar expressions of early human creativity have been found across the globe, from Indonesia to Australia to South America. This suggests that the urge to create art, to leave a mark, to tell stories through images, is a fundamental part of what makes us human. The techniques they developed were remarkably sophisticated. These weren't crude stick figures. Many cave paintings show an advanced understanding of perspective, movement, and anatomy. The artists used natural features in the rock walls to give their subjects a 3-dimensional quality, and they developed complex pigments that would stand the test of time. Some of these ancient paintings are so well preserved that their colors remain vibrant after tens of thousands of years. The creation of cave art also suggests something profound about our ancestors' concept of time and legacy. By creating these lasting images, they demonstrated an awareness of the future and a desire to communicate with it. They understood that their marks would outlast them, carrying their stories forward through generations. This represents one of humanity's first attempts to transcend their own mortality through creative expression. This historical moment marks the beginning of humanity's long relationship with art and symbolic expression. From these ancient cave paintings, we can trace a direct line to all subsequent human artistic endeavors, from Egyptian hieroglyphs to Renaissance masterpieces, from photography to digital art. While our methods and mediums have changed dramatically, our fundamental desire to create, communicate, and leave our mark remains unchanged from those first artists who ventured into dark caves with their pigments and creative vision. Let's step back in time and meet the remarkable artists who created these monumental works that have survived for millennia. These weren't simply casual painters. They were skilled craftspeople, spiritual leaders, and keepers of ancient knowledge who played crucial roles in their communities. Picture a young woman in her early 20s, her hands stained with red ochre, carefully teaching her daughter the sacred art that has been passed down through countless generations. Her fingers are calloused from grinding pigments and preparing cave walls, and her eyes show the keen attention to detail that comes from years of practice. She knows exactly how to mix the ochre with animal fat to create the perfect consistency, a knowledge passed down from her own mother. As she guides her daughter's hand along the cave wall, she's not just teaching technique. She's passing on her community's stories, beliefs, and understanding of the world. In another part of the cave, imagine a respected shaman in his 50s, his face marked with ritual paint, preparing for a ceremony. He knows every contour of the cave walls intimately, understanding how the natural rock formations can be incorporated into his paintings to create 3-dimensional effects. For him, the act of painting is not merely artistic, it's a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds. As he works by firelight, the flickering shadows make his painted animals appear to move, bringing them to life during sacred ceremonies. His role combines artist, spiritual leader, and keeper of tribal knowledge. Consider the apprentice artists, teenagers learning their craft through years of careful observation and practice. They would begin by gathering and preparing materials, learning which stones produced the best pigments, which animal fats created the most durable binders, and which cave surfaces would best preserve their work. These young artists would spend years mastering their craft before being trusted to create the more significant ritual paintings. There were also the expert hunters who contributed their intimate knowledge of animal anatomy. Their understanding of how animals moved, behaved, and looked from different angles was crucial for creating accurate depictions. These hunters-turned-artists could capture the power of a charging bison or the grace of a leaping deer with remarkable precision, thanks to their first-hand experience tracking and observing these creatures. The creation of cave art was likely a community effort. While master artists might have done the primary work, others would have helped prepare pigments, maintain light sources, construct scaffolding for reaching higher areas, and possibly participate in the accompanying rituals. Some members of the group might have specialized in creating the tools needed for painting: hollow bones for spraying pigment, brushes made from animal hair, or stone lamps for illumination. Evidence suggests that some artists left their individual marks, unique handprints, or distinctive artistic styles that we can still recognize today. These personal signatures tell us that while art served the community, individual creativity and skill were also valued and recognized. Children, too, were part of this artistic tradition. Archaeologists have found finger flutings, lines drawn with fingers in soft cave surfaces, made by children as young as 3 years old. This suggests that artistic expression was encouraged from an early age, with children literally leaving their mark alongside the more formal artwork of their elders. The artists of this time weren't specialists who only painted. They were full members of their communities who hunted, gathered, made tools, and participated in daily life. Their artistic work was integrated into the fabric of society, perhaps performed during specific seasons or as part of regular ritual cycles. These prehistoric artists were the first art teachers, the first creative directors, the first keepers of cultural memory through visual means. They developed techniques that would influence human artistic expression for millennia to come, and their work continues to move and inspire us today, forming an unbroken line of human creativity that stretches across tens of thousands of years. The cave artists of the Upper Paleolithic weren't just artists. They were pioneering technologists who developed sophisticated techniques that would influence human creativity for millennia to come. Their innovations in materials, tools, and application methods demonstrate a remarkable understanding of chemistry, geology, and artistic technique. Let's delve into their groundbreaking work with pigments. These ancient innovators discovered that by mixing natural pigments with animal fats, they could create paints with remarkable staying power. They experimented with different materials to create their color palette: red and yellow ochre from iron oxide, deep black from charcoal and manganese dioxide, and various browns from minerals like hematite. This wasn't simple mixing. They learned that heating the ochre could change its color, and they discovered that different animal fats produced varying levels of durability. The fats didn't just help the pigment stick to the wall, they also protected the artwork from moisture and environmental degradation, which is why we can still see these paintings thousands of years later. Their understanding of surface preparation was equally impressive. These artists learned that scraping and cleaning cave walls before painting would help their work last longer. They discovered that certain types of rock surfaces held pigments better than others, and they developed techniques for preparing different surfaces to accept their paints. This knowledge of geology and surface chemistry was passed down through generations, representing one of humanity's first technical traditions. Perhaps their most innovative achievement was their development of sophisticated painting tools. They created primitive but effective brushes using animal hair bound with sinew or plant fibers. They fashioned hollow bones into primitive airbrushes, allowing them to blow pigment onto the wall to create fine lines and detailed shapes. Some even developed stamps and stencils, using their hands or other objects to create repeated patterns. The discovery of hollow bone spraying techniques was particularly revolutionary. It allowed for precise control over pigment application and the creation of sophisticated effects that would be difficult to achieve by hand. Their mastery of three-dimensional effects shows a sophisticated understanding of perspective and natural form. These artists didn't just paint on flat surfaces. They carefully studied the natural contours of cave walls and incorporated these features into their work. A bulge in the rock might become the shoulder of a bison, or a natural crack might define the line of an animal's back. This integration of natural features demonstrates an advanced understanding of form and perspective that wouldn't be rediscovered in Western art until the Renaissance. They also developed sophisticated lighting systems to work in the dark cave environments. Stone lamps filled with animal fat and fiber wicks provided steady illumination. The placement of these lights wasn't random. They learned how to position them to create dramatic shadows that enhance their artwork, suggesting an understanding of light and shadow that we might today call primitive stage lighting. The artists even created scaffolding systems to reach higher areas of cave walls, showing engineering knowledge that would have required planning and teamwork. Evidence suggests they used wooden structures and possibly woven ropes to access difficult areas, demonstrating their ability to solve complex logistical challenges. Most impressively, they developed methods for creating lasting works in extremely challenging environments. The caves were often humid, with water running down walls and mineral deposits threatening to cover their work. Yet they found ways to prepare surfaces and apply pigments that would resist these environmental challenges for tens of thousands of years. Their legacy of innovation continues to impress modern artists and scientists. The durability of their paints, the sophistication of their application techniques, and their understanding of surface preparation all demonstrate levels of technological achievement that were far ahead of their time. In many ways, these ancient artists were also humanity's first chemists, geologists, and materials scientists. And now, we'd love to hear from you. Which of these prehistoric artistic techniques impressed you the most? Was it their sophisticated paint mixing, their innovative tool development, or their mastery of three-dimensional effects? Leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps us continue sharing these fascinating stories about human innovation and creativity. Creating art in the depths of prehistoric caves was an endeavor fraught with extraordinary challenges and dangers. Our ancestors had to overcome numerous obstacles that would test not only their artistic abilities, but also their survival skills and determination. The most immediate and constant challenge was the absolute darkness that pervaded the deep cave systems. Imagine venturing hundreds of feet underground where no natural light has ever penetrated. The darkness in these caves was complete and absolute, so profound that it would be impossible to see your hand in front of your face. This wasn't like working in a dimly lit room. It was like trying to create intricate art while being completely blind without artificial light. To combat this overwhelming darkness, our ancestors had to develop sophisticated lighting systems. They created stone lamps filled with animal fat, using juniper wicks or other plant materials to provide illumination. But these primitive lamps presented their own challenges. They required constant maintenance, produced significant smoke in the confined cave spaces, and provided only limited, flickering light. Artists had to carefully manage their fuel supplies. Running out of light deep inside a cave could be fatal. The physical environment of the caves presented numerous dangers. Cave bears, which were larger and more aggressive than modern bears, often used the same caves for hibernation. Archaeological evidence shows tragic encounters between humans and these massive predators, with some caves containing both art and the remains of artists who never made it back to daylight. The artists had to be constantly vigilant, working while also keeping watch for these dangerous inhabitants. Structural hazards posed another deadly threat. Cave systems are dynamic environments, with the constant risk of rockfalls and ceiling collapses. The vibration from human activity or natural seismic events could trigger these collapses without warning. Some passages could also flood suddenly during rain events, cutting off escape routes. The artists had to develop an intimate understanding of cave geology to identify safer areas for their work. The atmosphere itself was a silent enemy. Deep caves often have poor air circulation, leading to the buildup of carbon dioxide and depletion of oxygen. The smoke from their lamps would have made this even worse. Modern studies have shown that in some of the deeper painting sites, artists could only work for short periods before having to return to better ventilated areas. Creating and transporting art materials presented its own set of challenges. The preparation of pigments was a complex process that required significant advanced planning. Artists had to locate and mine specific minerals for different colors, often traveling considerable distances to find the right materials. These raw materials then had to be ground into fine powder and mixed with binders like animal fat or water, all of which had to be transported into the caves along with their tools and lighting supplies. The physical act of painting in caves required remarkable skill and often considerable courage. Many of the most impressive artworks are located in nearly inaccessible places, on high ceilings or in tight crevices. Artists had to construct primitive scaffolding or find ways to reach these difficult spots while maintaining enough stability to create precise artwork. Some paintings were created in spaces so tight that the artists must have worked while lying on their backs in extremely uncomfortable positions. Temperature and humidity posed additional challenges. Caves maintain a fairly constant temperature, but it's often quite cold, and the humidity can be extremely high. This affected both the comfort of the artists and the behavior of their materials. They had to develop special techniques to make their pigments adhere to wet cave walls and resist degradation from constant moisture. The challenge of planning and composition was also significant. Unlike working on a blank canvas, cave walls are irregular surfaces with various protrusions, cracks, and textures. Artists had to plan their work carefully, often incorporating these natural features into their compositions. There was no room for error. You couldn't simply erase and start over on a cave wall. These numerous challenges make the achievements of prehistoric artists even more remarkable. The fact that they persevered through such difficult and dangerous conditions to create works of such beauty and sophistication speaks volumes about the importance of artistic expression in human culture. Their determination to overcome these obstacles has left us with an invaluable window into the dawn of human creativity. The ancient cave paintings offer us profound insights into human nature and our fundamental need for creative expression. These prehistoric galleries serve as mirrors, reflecting timeless truths about humanity's desire to communicate, create, and leave lasting legacies. One of the most striking lessons from cave art is that artistic expression isn't a luxury, it's a fundamental human need. Long before we had developed writing, complex tools, or even permanent settlements, our ancestors were already dedicating significant time and resources to creating art. They ventured deep into dangerous caves, developed sophisticated techniques, and risked their lives to create these works. This tells us that art isn't just something we do when all other needs are met. It's as essential to human existence as hunting and gathering were to our ancestors. The parallels between cave art and modern social media are particularly revealing. Just as we today feel compelled to document our experiences, share our achievements, and connect with others through digital platforms, our ancestors used cave walls as their medium of expression. They recorded successful hunts, celebrated important animals, documented celestial events, and possibly shared their spiritual experiences. This demonstrates that the human desire to document and share our lives isn't a modern phenomenon. It's deeply rooted in our evolutionary history. Cave art also teaches us about the power of visual communication to transcend time and cultural boundaries. While we may never fully understand the specific meanings behind every cave painting, we can still connect with the human experiences they represent. A handprint made 40,000 years ago still communicates a clear message: I was here. A beautifully rendered bison still conveys the artist's skill and understanding of animal anatomy. This reminds us that visual art has a unique ability to communicate across the millennia in ways that spoken language cannot. These ancient works also reveal the human capacity for innovation and problem solving. When faced with technical challenges, our ancestors didn't give up. They invented solutions. They developed new tools, created durable pigments, and found ways to work in extremely challenging environments. This teaches us that creativity isn't just about the final product. It's about the ingenuity required to overcome obstacles in the creative process. Another crucial lesson lies in the communal aspect of cave art. Evidence suggests that these weren't solitary endeavors, but community efforts that involve teaching, learning, and sharing of knowledge across generations. We see this in the presence of both masterful works and apprentice attempts, children's handprints alongside sophisticated animal portraits. This reminds us that art serves not just as personal expression, but as a way to build and maintain community bonds. The durability of cave art offers another important lesson about legacy and permanence. In our digital age, where content can be deleted with a click, cave art reminds us of the value of creating something that endures. Our ancestors chose their materials and locations carefully, thinking about preservation. This raises important questions about what we're leaving behind for future generations to understand us by. Perhaps most importantly, cave art teaches us about the universal human desire to make sense of our world through creative expression. These ancient artists weren't just decorating walls, they were trying to understand and communicate their experiences of the world around them. Through their art, they processed their relationships with the animals they hunted, the natural phenomena they observed, and the spiritual beliefs they held. These prehistoric artworks also demonstrate the human capacity for abstract thinking and symbolic representation. The ability to take a three-dimensional reality and represent it in two dimensions, to use symbols and signs to convey meaning, shows that our ancestors were capable of sophisticated cognitive processes. This reminds us that artistic expression isn't just about aesthetics, it's deeply connected to human cognitive development and our ability to think symbolically. Finally, cave art teaches us about the importance of storytelling in human culture. These weren't random marks on walls. They were narratives about life, death, spirituality, and the natural world. The fact that our ancestors put so much effort into creating these visual stories suggests that storytelling, in all its forms, is fundamental to how we understand and share our human experience. These lessons from our distant past remain remarkably relevant today. As we navigate our increasingly digital world, the cave paintings remind us that our need to create, communicate, and leave our mark is not a modern phenomenon, but a fundamental part of what makes us human. Deep in the heart of prehistoric caves lies one of archaeology's most intriguing mysteries, the remarkable and often baffling locations where our ancestors chose to create their art. Some of these paintings are found in such challenging and seemingly impossible locations that they continue to puzzle researchers and challenge our understanding of prehistoric human capabilities. Let's delve into some of the most astonishing examples. In the cave of El Castillo in Spain, prehistoric artists created elaborate paintings on the ceiling of a chamber that stands more than 20 feet high. Without modern climbing equipment or stable platforms, reaching these heights would have required extraordinary ingenuity. Archaeological evidence suggests they likely constructed wooden scaffolding, though no traces remain due to natural decay over millennia. In France's famous Lascaux cave, artists navigated through a complex network of narrow passages to reach chambers deep underground. Some of the most impressive paintings are found in what's now called the Hall of Bulls, where the ceiling rises to heights of over 18 feet. To create these masterpieces, our ancestors would have needed sophisticated lighting systems and some form of elevated platform, suggesting they possessed far more advanced engineering skills than previously thought. The Rouffignac cave, also in France, presents an even more perplexing scenario. Some of its most intricate drawings are located more than a mile deep into the cave system, in areas that would have been completely dark and potentially dangerous to access. Even more remarkably, some artwork appears in narrow tunnels barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through. Imagine creating detailed art while lying on your back in a space barely larger than your body, with only a primitive stone lamp for light. In the Font de Gaume cave, artists created masterpieces in passages so narrow that modern visitors can barely pass through them. Yet somehow, these ancient creators managed to produce complex polychrome paintings in these confined spaces. This raises fascinating questions about their methods and motivations. Why choose such difficult locations when easier surfaces were available? Perhaps one of the most mysterious examples comes from the Chauvet cave, where handprints and paintings appear on a ceiling panel that's only accessible by climbing a steep, slippery wall. Modern archaeologists, with all their advanced equipment, find it challenging to study these areas safely. How did our ancestors manage to reach these spots while carrying their painting materials and lighting equipment? The technical challenges they overcame were remarkable. Evidence suggests they developed sophisticated systems of wooden scaffolding, using techniques that wouldn't be documented again until medieval times. They may have used interlocking wooden beams, secured with animal hide ropes, to create stable platforms. Some researchers believe they might have also used natural ledges and rock formations as anchor points for their temporary structures. In some caves, archaeologists have found small holes drilled into the cave walls, suggesting the possible use of wooden pegs to support climbing or scaffolding structures. This indicates a level of planning and engineering that goes far beyond simple artistic expression. These ancient artists were also engineers, safety experts, and problem solvers. Perhaps most remarkably, some paintings appear in chambers that were already difficult to access when they were created, suggesting that the challenging location was deliberately chosen. This raises intriguing questions about the ritual or spiritual significance of these hard-to-reach spaces. Were these locations chosen precisely because they were difficult to access, making the art more sacred or meaningful? The fact that these artists went to such extraordinary lengths to create their work in such challenging locations tells us something profound about their dedication and the importance they placed on their art. They weren't looking for easy solutions or convenient surfaces. They were willing to go to extreme lengths to create their work in precisely the locations they deemed appropriate, regardless of the difficulties involved. This determination to overcome physical obstacles in pursuit of artistic expression offers us a humbling perspective on human creativity and perseverance. These weren't just artists. They were adventurers, engineers, and problem solvers who refused to let physical limitations stand in the way of their creative vision. As we conclude our exploration of humanity's first artistic expressions, let's reflect on the profound connection between those ancient cave painters and our modern selves. Every time you snap a photo on your smartphone, sketch an idea in your notebook, or share a moment on social media, you're participating in a tradition that began over 40,000 years ago in the depths of prehistoric caves. Our ancestors' revolutionary decision to document their world through art started a chain of creative expression that continues unbroken to this day. These cave paintings were far more than primitive decorations or simple doodles. They represented humanity's first attempt to create something truly permanent, to send messages across time, to share their experiences and understanding of the world with future generations. When those first artists pressed their paint-covered hands against cave walls or carefully sketched the animals they hunted, they were doing something unprecedented in the history of life on Earth. They were consciously creating lasting records of their existence. The legacy of cave art resonates deeply with our modern practices. Just as we carefully choose our filters and angles for the perfect social media post, our ancestors selected specific caves, prepared their surfaces, and developed sophisticated techniques to ensure their art would endure. They too wanted to share their stories, mark significant events, and leave evidence of their existence for others to find. Perhaps most remarkably, these ancient artists succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. Their work has survived for tens of thousands of years, outlasting countless civilizations, empires, and technological revolutions. They've achieved what many of us still strive for, creating something that truly stands the test of time. As we look at our own creative expressions today, whether digital or physical, we're not just creating content. We're continuing an ancient human tradition of storytelling through images. Each photograph we take, each drawing we make, each digital artwork we create adds to this unbroken chain of human creativity that stretches back to those first cave artists. Their work reminds us that art isn't just about aesthetics or skill. It's about our fundamental human need to communicate, to share our experiences, to make sense of our world, and to leave something behind that says, "We were here. This is who we were. This is what we saw and felt and believed." The story of cave art is, ultimately, the story of us, our creativity, our innovation, our determination to overcome challenges, and our endless desire to communicate across time and space. It's a reminder that no matter how much our tools and techniques may change, our fundamental need to create and share remains constant. And now, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this remarkable journey through the dawn of human creativity. Which cave painting would you most like to see in person? Perhaps the magnificent aurochs of Lascaux, the mysterious handprints of El Castillo, or the stunning lions of Chauvet? Share your choice in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this exploration of humanity's first art gallery, please take a moment to like this video and share it with others who might be fascinated by our artistic origins. Subscribe to the Dawn of Humankind channel for more incredible stories about our ancestors and the remarkable legacy they left behind. By joining our community, you'll be part of a modern group of people who, just like our cave painting ancestors, are passionate about understanding and sharing the story of human creativity. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated on our future explorations into humanity's fascinating past. Together, let's continue to uncover and celebrate the remarkable story of human creativity that began in those ancient painted caves. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. Until our next adventure into the past, keep creating, keep sharing, and remember, you're part of a creative tradition that's been going strong for 40,000 years and counting.